What if I told you that before Eve existed, there was a first woman who defied God, confronted angels, and preferred to become a demon rather than live subjugated? This is the story of Lilith, humanity's first rebel, and it will leave you speechless. Hello everyone. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and controversial stories ever told. A narrative that was deliberately hidden for millennia, but carries within it the first cry of feminine freedom in history. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come with me to discover the secrets of Adam's true first woman. To understand Lilith, we need to go back in time. Way back in time. We're talking about more than 4,000 years ago, in ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. During this era, among the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, there were already legends about supernatural feminine creatures called Lilitu. These entities were described as demons of wind and storm, nocturnal beings that inhabited desolate places and terrorized mainly men during sleep. But the story we know today about Lilith emerges much later, in medieval Jewish tradition. In the 8th or 9th century, a text called the Alphabet of Ben Sira completely revolutionized our understanding of creation. This manuscript presented an alternative version of Genesis that would forever change how we view the first woman. According to this tradition, when God decided to create humanity, he didn't just make Adam from clay. He simultaneously created two human beings, Adam and Lilith. Both were molded from the same red earth, from the same raw material, at the same moment. There was no hierarchy between them. There was no superiority. They were, in essence, completely equal. Imagine the scene, the Garden of Eden, a perfect paradise where two divine creatures begin to discover existence. Adam and Lilith explored this new world together, learned about themselves and what it meant to be human. But soon the first conflicts began to emerge. Lilith was different from what we expected of a first woman. She wasn't submissive, didn't accept orders without questioning, and most importantly, didn't see herself as inferior to Adam. After all, why should she? She had been created exactly the same way he had. The final conflict, the one that would change humanity's destiny, happened when the moment of intimacy between them arrived. Adam, perhaps influenced by some primitive notion of masculine dominance, demanded that Lilith always assume the inferior position during sexual intercourse. For him, this was natural, it was the order of things. But Lilith didn't accept it. Her response was clear and direct: "Why should I lie beneath you when you two were made from dust, just like me? We are equal in our creation, we are equal in our essence." This phrase, folks, represents the first feminist manifesto in human history. It wasn't just about sexual position. It was about power, about respect, about the right to be treated as an equal. Lilith was questioning an entire structure of domination that hadn't even been officially established yet. She was saying no to submission before submission was even expected. Adam, however, didn't give in. He insisted on his position, arguing that as a man, he had the right to lead, to dominate, to be on top. The conflict escalated quickly. Discussions became fights, fights became direct confrontations. Paradise, which should have been a place of harmony, transformed into an ideological battleground. It was then that Lilith made the most radical decision in human history. She wouldn't submit. She wouldn't accept being treated as inferior. And if that meant leaving paradise, so be it. Lilith pronounced the secret name of God, the sacred tetragrammaton, and something extraordinary happened. She grew wings and flew away from Eden. Imagine the impact of that moment. The first woman of creation chose voluntary exile instead of submission. She preferred to face the unknown, preferred to give up the security of paradise, preferred to challenge divine order itself rather than live a diminished life. When God realized what had happened, he sent 3 angels after Lilith, Sinoi, Sansonoi, and Samangeloth. These angels had a clear mission: convince Lilith to return to Eden and accept her place beside Adam. They found her on the shores of the Red Sea, in a desolate and wild region. The angels made a proposal: if she returned and submitted to Adam, all would be forgiven. She could return to paradise, return to the easy life, return to security. But if she refused, she would be severely punished. Hundreds of her future children would die every day. Lilith's response was even more surprising than her original escape. She refused categorically. She told the angels that she preferred punishment to submission. That she preferred to see her children die rather than live a life of humiliation. That she preferred to be cursed rather than dominated. And that's exactly what happened. Lilith was transformed into a creature of the night, a demonic figure who came to inhabit the dark places of the world. She became the mother of demons, of incubi and succubi, of all creatures that disturb human sleep. But here's the crucial point of the story: at the same time she was being punished, Lilith was also receiving powers. She became immortal, gained the ability to fly, to transform, to influence dreams and thoughts. Her rebellion didn't just punish her, but also freed her in a way that no other woman in history had experienced. In popular Jewish tradition, Lilith became a feared figure. Pregnant women wore amulets to protect themselves from her. Newborn children were carefully guarded during their first days of life. It was believed that Lilith felt envy of human motherhood and tried to harm mothers and babies. But do you see what really happened here? A woman who fought for equality was automatically transformed into a villain. Her search for dignity was reinterpreted as evil. Her refusal to submit was seen as a threat to the natural order of things. Meanwhile, God created Eve from Adam's rib, ensuring from the beginning that she would be dependent on him, part of him, subordinate to him. Eve was created to be the perfect wife, submissive and obedient. She was what Lilith refused to be. For centuries, Lilith's story was practically erased from official scriptures. She became a marginal figure, mentioned only in esoteric texts and oral traditions. Religious patriarchy preferred the more palatable version with Eve, the woman who accepted her subordinate role. But true stories have a way of resurfacing. In the 19th and especially the 20th century, with the emergence of women's rights movements, Lilith was rediscovered. Feminist scholars found in her the perfect symbol of feminine resistance. Lilith represents the woman who refuses to be diminished. She is the archetype of the female who doesn't accept being treated as an object, who fights for her rights, who prefers freedom to security. She is the first feminist in history, millennia before the term existed. Today, Lilith appears in countless works of art, literature, cinema, and music. She has become a figure of empowerment, a symbol that it's possible to say no to oppression, even when the price is high. Her story resonates especially in an era when women still fight for equality in many parts of the world. But the question that remains is, was Lilith a misunderstood heroine or a dangerous rebel? Was she a victim of patriarchy or a genuinely threatening creature? The answer perhaps depends on how we view the struggle for equality. One thing is certain: Lilith teaches us that freedom has a price. That fighting for dignity can mean giving up privileges. That sometimes you have to choose between security and integrity. And that difficult choices aren't always the wrong ones. If she had submitted to Adam, perhaps human history would have been different. Perhaps we would have avoided millennia of feminine oppression. Or perhaps the oppression would have been even deeper, naturalized from the very first moment of creation. What we know is that Lilith paid the ultimate price for her rebellion. She was demonized, literally. Transformed into a villain, erased from official history, remembered only as a threat. But at the same time, she achieved something that no other feminine figure of antiquity managed: symbolic immortality as a representative of resistance. Lilith's story forces us to question our own beliefs about power, gender, and submission. She asks us, is it worth fighting for equality even when everyone is against you? Is it worth maintaining your dignity even when it means losing everything? For Lilith, the answer was yes. And perhaps that's why, even after millennia, her story continues to inspire and disturb in equal measure. Because she represents an inconvenient truth, that true freedom sometimes requires sacrifices that few are willing to make. And you, what do you think about Lilith's story? Was she a pioneer of feminine freedom or a rebel who took things too far? A victim of an oppressive system or a dangerous creature who deserved her punishment? Let us know in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed this fascinating story, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. We have many more incredible stories like this waiting for you. Until next time, everyone.